Now, men who carry knives have been urged to attend a memorial event for young victims of knife crime in London. It's in the hope it will convince them to ditch their weapons. Nationwide, over 26,000 offences involving a knife or sharp instrument were recorded June last year to this. That's dropped 12% from the previous figure of 30,000. Worst affected areas of the country, well, perhaps not a surprise, Greater Manchester, the West Midlands and London Metropolitan Police Forces. Rhiannon Mills has the latest.
Zach was a funny boy, kind, caring boy, beautiful and talented. He looked after me and his older siblings.
Edwin was a talented, energetic, vibrant. He was full of life.
Shakira Olumegbon's son, Zach, was only 15 when he was stabbed as he went to school. Genevieve Johnson's boy, Edwin, was only 19. He was knifed yards from his home. This weekend, a memorial is celebrating the boys' lives as their mums continue to live with the memories of the days they died.
The night that phone call came to say, "Mommy, come quickly," and I ran out of the house and I saw the police. They've already had the barrier, and I walked up the stairs and I saw my son in that pool of blood.
While figures show a drop in knife crime, young people we spoke to at the Salmon Youth Centre in Bermondsey told us it's still a very real problem.
I do have a past experience with having people pull knives on me.
A few friends that I know is being stabbed. A lot of people that I know used to carry quite a lot.
You have carried a knife before. Why did you carry a knife?
It was a silly choice I made at the time. It was older kids making me.
So far in 2013, 6 teenagers have been fatally stabbed in London. That's as many as died in the whole of 2012 as a result of knife crime. Despite that, the Met Police say progress has been made, but they're not complacent.
My thoughts are with all families of certainly knife crime and more wider, actually. Yes, I recognise the fact that more can be done. And in fact, we are working very hard with various different groups to try and reduce those levels of offending.
The memories for Shakira and Genevieve are painful. They hope those still carrying knives will listen to them and learn.
They need to know that when you take a child's life, 5 minutes or 5 seconds of madness, it destroys a whole family.
Rhiannon Mills, Sky News in South London.
Let's talk to gang consultant Sheldon Thomas. Look, it's the heart of the matter, looking at those two mothers there, isn't it? The devastation this causes. If people who carry knives at the moment come face to face with that, appreciate what actually can happen and the future's loss to them and to families, could that make a difference?
It may impact on some young people that come face to face with the victims of what they've done, but I think that young people have become too desensitised to violence, and we live in areas where, on these inner city estates where violence is so prevalent. And whilst the figures may show that they've gone down, the tensions amongst young people, the rivalry between gangs is very high.
And what is driving that then? Because I mean, clearly, if that's the root cause, that needs to be addressed.
Well, one of the things that's driving force is the lack of hope. Most of these young people don't believe in the system anymore. They don't believe in the big society picture. They don't believe that there is any way out. They live in areas where there are broken families, unemployment, bad education. Education actually plays a real role, but the absent fathers is another thing that they haven't got no one to look up to. So I think that unless we address the root causes of these particular inner city areas, it's going to keep going.
But how do you do that? How do you provide them with the role models that you're saying that they're lacking in the family home, and even don't have a male role model to look up to and aspire to be like?
I think right now you have many third sector organisations that provide that kind of service, and I think at the moment, unless those third sector organisations, which come from those very communities, are capacity built by the government and local authorities to be able to do their work on a sustainable level, we're going to be sitting there talking about the same same things, because those third sector organisations are normally run by people who are ex-gang members, people that understand what is going on in the mindset of these young people in the sense of violence, and in some ways some of the people that also run it have been sexually abused themselves, and they tend to be the people that can understand these young people and can relate to them.
See, from the organisation that you run, that you're behind in all of this, presumably you are dealing with people who are in gangs at the moment. Is there an appetite there when you look at these young men and women face to face? Is there an appetite in their minds to say, I want to get past this, I want to put this behind me, I want to move on?
Yeah, there are some young people that do want to move on, but again, it's very difficult. It's a long-term plan. We're working with some young people at the moment that will take 2 or 3 years to move on because they've been entrenched in it. And unless we kind of reach them at a very young age, and that's another thing, the schools won't tend to let a lot of third sector organisations in to deal with the problem at a very young age because they're more concerned about their reputation with the parents, about whether they should be holding, programs that deal with gang issues. So unless we get to young age, 8 years old, 9 years old, because at this moment in time...
Well, how do you deal with all of this then, in the sense that obviously you want government to do more,
yeah,
but you can't legislate for all of this. A lot of this has got to come from third sector like you, from the wider community as well.
Yeah, and this is the thing, I think, what's happening. I think a lot of communities do not face up to their responsibility. I think unless we can get the communities to understand that we can no longer live with murderers, we shouldn't be living with rapists, because at this moment in time, there are people that know murderers who are walking free, young kids, age 15. We've got young men that are walking free from raping girls because the community would rather live with them than turn them in to the police. And unless we get the community to understand that this is not acceptable, that we have to change that mentality, we're fighting a losing battle here.
Sheldon, it's certainly a battle which you're taking head on. We appreciate your time this one. Thanks very much indeed.